A very good afternoon to you. This is Lunchtime News coming to you live on NTV Sports. I am Shanji Rampati. These are our headlines. The Tamil National Alliance pledges its support to presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. UN Secretary General urges the Sri Lankan government to hold a peaceful and fair presidential election. Health sector token strike affects hospitals island-wide. Indonesian searchers say they have spotted debris at sea in the hunt for flight QZ8501. Now here are the stories in detail. The Tamil National Alliance announced today that it will pledge support to presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Maithripala Sirisena, at the forthcoming presidential election. The announcement was made by TNA Parliamentary Group leader R. Sambandhan at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Over the past few weeks, we have engaged in a very earnest consultation with our people, both in the northern and eastern provinces and in other parts of the country too. We have followed the campaign and the positions taken up by the two main candidates, President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the joint opposition candidate, Mr. Maithripala Sirisena. Our decision, taken unanimously after earnest consultation with our people, both in the north and the east and the rest of the country, is that the Tamil National Alliance will, at the forthcoming presidential election, extend its fullest support to the joint opposition candidate, Mr. Maithripala Sirisena.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the time has come for the people to consider who the real saviours of the masses are. The head of state made the statement addressing a public rally held in the Kaduvilla town.
The United People's Freedom Alliance had organised the rally to ensure the victory of President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the forthcoming presidential elections.
We have so many votes and we auction them. They are bidding these votes today. Are they the leaders? Are they the saviours of the Muslim community? Look at Fauzi. We need to think about this. The time has come for the Muslim community to think about this. You need to follow the traitors. You need to follow the people who represent the people, no matter who they may be. They are arousing racial sentiments. I am being branded as creating Sinhala sentiments. These people are those who were with us for 10 years enjoying all the benefits and have once defect for the other side and make allegations. They go to the other side and they say that we are anti-Muslim and anti-Tamil. They have not understood this for the past 10 years while they were here. It is clear that the time where the innocent Muslims and Tamil dance to their tunes are over.
එයාලට ඕන විදියට නටන යුගේ ඉවරයි කියන එක පැහැදිලි සහෝදරයා.
මේ දවස්වල විපක්ෂයේ උදවිය කියනවා.
They say that our president is contesting for the third time because of greed. My friends, a leader's first responsibility is to protect the people of this country. In the past, the people selected their king and paid taxes to maintain that king so that when their lives are at risk, the king would protect them. Development is the second and welfare is the third. The fourth point is good governance. A public rally of the common opposition was held in the Kantale town yesterday.
This rally was organised to convocate support for presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. UPFA members of the Kantale Pradeshya Sabha, Mohammed Madar and Jasil Maulani pledged their support to presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena at this rally.
සල්මන් කාන්ට ගෙවන වියදම මිලියන් 700ක්.
700 million rupees was spent on Salman Khan. This was for him to sing a song and tell the people to vote for Mahinda Rajapaksa. That means he cannot get the people of this country to say it. People have been affected by the floods and they have been rendered helpless. Some have died. Their houses are lost. They have no food nor drink. Close to 1.5 million of this country's population is rendered helpless. Their lives are at risk. While this is happening, Mahinda Rajapaksa is bringing down Salman Khan and playing songs. This is to get people's votes and regain power. If a leader cannot come forward for the people's issues, there is an issue if you will continue to keep Rajapaksa to govern this country.
ජනතාවගේ බලන්න නැත්නම් නායකයෙක් ඒ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට එකතු වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මේ රාජපක්ෂ පාලනය සමුන්නාසල තවදුරටත් මේ රටේ සමා ගන්නවාද කියන ප්‍රශ්නයයි තියෙන්නේ.
They are simply muttering words during this period. We know that at this time, the ruler cannot grab away with your votes. Why? An autocratic ruler will never sustain. When they suppress the people with their tricks and intimidate the people, after some time the people will show them the way out. The autocratic ruler of this country is facing such a situation. The people of this country are depressed. Wherever you go, there are demonstrations and meetings. University students are being assaulted. There are protests at every institution. That is why he had taken the decision to call for elections 2 years ahead, because if he stays longer, he will lose everything. He is seeking a third term. He has no legal right to do so. Traditionally, a president can seek only 2 terms. Politicians in other parties bowed down to money and obtained a 2/3 majority for an amendment and paved the way for the third term.
Well, here are some of the views expressed on the political stage ahead of the presidential poll. Never in the history of this country was there a leadership that could move forward with racial sentiments. Now the issue is between the Sri Lankan rupee and the American dollar. The rates of the MPs increase. Have you ever seen Mahinda Rajapaksa obtaining medication from a national hospital? Have you seen him take medicine from the Kalubowila hospital or the Sri Jawaharlanapura hospital? If he comes down with a cough, he flies to America. He goes on pilgrimage to India and for loans goes to China. Are we the international conspirators? Rajapaksa swallowed the whole cabinet. Parliament is not an institution where anything can be done. Matters take place according to the Rajapaksa's fancy. This is the truth. The judiciary, the media, the Bribery and Corruption Commission, the Parliament and the cabinet was swallowed by one person. This is what we call an autocratic rule. Mahinda Rajapaksa is not merely a ruler. Mahinda Rajapaksa is the leader who saved this country. He is the leader who governed this country with strength. He is the leader who provided the people with facilities. He is the leader who protected the country. Therefore, he works directly, and if he cannot do something, he will say it. What I am saying is that all of us who love the country, who think of the country, need to come together to ensure the victory of Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Mahinda Rajapaksa මෙතුමා ජයග්‍රහණය කළ යුතු කියන්නේ ඒකයි.
ආණ්ඩුවට ඡන්දේ දුන්නොත් මුන් හිතයි. යකෝ තුන්වෙනි පාරත් ලංකාවේ ජනතාව මේ අපේ ක්‍රියාදාමය.
If you vote for the government, they will think that the people have given the go-ahead for the third time for their process, their plan and their vision. This is astounding. The more they kill people, they get votes. The more they skim money, the more they get votes. The more they bring in ethanol and drugs, the more they get votes. After the 9th, the parliament needs to be clean of thieves. All the casino owners, all the ethanol importers, all the drug lords and all the thieves need to be removed and a good parliament needs to be created. If not, it will only be the words of Maitripala. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has conveyed his strong expectation that the government of Sri Lanka will ensure the peaceful and credible conduct of its upcoming presidential election scheduled for the beginning of the new year. According to the UN News Center, the UN Secretary General had discussed the matter with Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Pires. The UN News Agency went on to note that the UN will provide continuous support for reconciliation, political dialogue and accountability. The UN further stressed on the importance of inclusive participation of all Sri Lankan voters, including minority communities, in the election process without any fear. The Left Front convened a media briefing in Rajagiri yesterday. Presidential candidate of the Left Front, Duminda Nagamuwa, expressed the following views at this media briefing.
මේක තමයි ලංකා ඉතිහාසයේ පළවෙනි මැතිවරණයේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශන නැතුව සති දෙකක් ගත කරපු ප්‍රධාන අපේක්ෂක.
This is the first time in an election in Sri Lanka that both candidates did not have a manifesto 2 weeks into the run-up to the election. The first manifesto was published on the 19th and the second on the 23rd. When Mahinda's manifesto was published on the 23rd, the first round of postal voting had already concluded. Both the main candidates from the wealthy parties do not want a discussion on policy. They want to show their faces and win power. This is like an icing cake that has been made with poison. Both manifestos are like two slices of the same cake.
වහගුලියක් දාලා හදපු අයිසිං කේක් එකක් වගේ තමයි මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශන දෙකම. එකම කේක් ගෙඩියේ කෑලි දෙකක් තමයි කපලා දැන් ජනතාව ඉස්සරහට ගෙනලා තියෙන්නේ.
Newsfirst provincial correspondents report that water levels which wreaked havoc in several areas over the past few days in several provinces due to the incessant rains are now receding. The NBRO reports that the landslide warning issued to 10 districts will be in effect until this evening. The Disaster Management Centre says that Matale, Kandy, Badulla, Nore Elia, Kegol, Kurunagala, Kalutara, Gaul, Hambantota and Matara districts have been issued the landslide warning.
Our correspondent in Anuradhapura reported that the weather condition in Anuradhapura has been favourable today. The Battikalo-Polonnaruwa road, which was inundated, has been opened way for vehicular movement. Our correspondent in the area noted that although shallow levels of water is evident in the area, vehicular movement has not been hindered. This aerial footage is from several areas that were inundated in Polonnaruwa. Meanwhile, a python had entered a house in the Bandagiri area in Hambantota. Our correspondent reported that the python was later released to the Bundala National Wildlife Sanctuary by the wildlife officials of Hambantota. Footage shows the water levels in Hambantota, Tissamaharama and Bandagiri areas are receding. Our correspondent notes that water levels in close proximity to the Dadru Oya in the Puttalam district have not reduced. However, it is reported that several persons continue to receive shelter in relief camps. A tree had fallen onto a shopping complex located along the Kandy-Peradeniya road. According to the police, around 15 houses have been damaged. 3 persons were reportedly injured and were admitted to the Kandy Base Hospital for treatment. 1 person succumbed to his injuries while receiving treatment. A house has been damaged due to a landslide in the Simonwati area in Kandy. No casualties were reported in the incident. However, around 10 families are receiving shelter at the Bhairavakanda Madhum Bandara Vidyalaya. Several crops have been damaged in the Matale district owing to the extreme weather. Crops in the Matale, Yatavatta, Pallepola, Naula, Kalevala and Dambulla are the worst affected. Our correspondent adds that due to this situation, there is a rise in the price of vegetables sold at the Dambulla Economic Centre.
Nursing officers attached to 14 grades of profession supplementary to medicine launched a token strike today. The strike is being launched against the authorities for failing to provide a solution over the anomalies that have arisen with regard to the provision of transport and risk allowances.
The token strike disrupted the daily functions of several hospitals in the country. Activities at the Colombo National Hospital were hampered by the token strike which commenced at 7 this morning. Our correspondent said that while the activities of the blood testing unit came to a standstill, patients who obtain medicine from the outpatients department are being given free medication from the Osusala. Our correspondent said that while the daily functions of the Kandy General Hospital were disrupted to a certain extent, members of the armed forces assisted in the functions of the hospital. While 140 nurses are on duty at the Matara General Hospital, all professions supplementary to medicine refrained from work. Chairman of the Government Nursing Officers Association, Saman Ratnapiriya, said that the government has removed the anomalies in the doctors' transport and risk allowances. Our attempts to contact the Minister of Health and the Secretary were futile.
Still in local news, a 17-year-old youth has been killed after being attacked with a sharp weapon in the Patia Junction area in Kalania. The police stated that the group who had arrived in close proximity to his residence last evening had carried out the attack. It is suspected that a long-term dispute might have traveled to the incident. And that is a wrap of today's edition of Lunchtime News. Thank you very much for watching. For the News First team, I am Shahin Jurangpati.
Hotline 0114